Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second EGL Summoners Cup number 12 match of the day. This time it's the round of 64 between DieCoolenTypen and Go Swag Stallions. As before, my name is The Pash, and with me casting here today is Elphazar.
Yep, after a fairly action-packed first game between Team Nick Cage, and I've forgotten the other name because I am a wonderful caster, it ended up in a victory for Team Nick Cage.
Nomsign team. That was it.
There we go. It's pretty easy to remember a team that's named after a famous movie star.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Anyway, we are in Champ Select. The game is starting. And right off the bat, we do see a Gragaspan coming out from DieCoolenTypen. Again?
We did see a Gragaspan come out. It's in the first game, and I said it was rather... Oh, I see what's going on here. Looking at the members of Go Swag Stallions, they are banning out the champions that are within the names of the summoners. So you have Gragas with Swaggis, Gragas banned, Best Eve Mid EU West, Evelyn banned.
Oh, I see.
So we're going to say...
Well, they're going to have to leave either
Katarina
or Lee Sin open.
Well, and then they go, come on guys, work with me here.
There goes your theory. Poof! I think I heard it. Go. Poof.
Yeah, you can just hear it crumple into dust like a fine champagne flute, I don't know.
Yep.
Anyway, Go Swag Stallions have banned Thresh and Nasus. They are fairly meta bans. Late game, Nasus is an utter monster to fight, and Thresh is one of those supports that people love to hate.
Yeah, that's true. Riven also getting banned out here. A very potent top laner if one knows how to play her. Can go the other way if you don't know how to play her. She's a very hit and miss champion, really. So that's her bans. Gragas, Thresh, Evelyn, Nasus, Kassadin, and Riven. And we do see the hover over Leona here from DieCoolenTypen. Gonna see if they're gonna lock it in, start things off with a first pick support.
No, I think you see them jumping to the Lee Sin, so we should probably wait for the lock before comment is made. But were a Lee Sin picked, I'm almost tempted to say that despite the opposing team, since they do have Your Lee, My Sin, as one of their players. However, we do not know until that timer ticks down.
God, the mountain of puns that currently builds up in my head. It's too big. Prepare. We do see the Lee Sin locked in here. So that's going to be the first pick here for DieCoolenTypen. I'm going to see what Go Swag Stallions are going to pick against that. They do decide to go for the Leona here. So
nobody saw that coming. They certainly didn't.
Well, the sunlight blinded them. And Aurelia being hovered over here as a second pick. Not a top laner that we see too often, and actually does get locked in here.
I do recall last week, I don't know if you can put your mind back to that, but I'm fairly certain we saw an Aurelia last week do incredibly well, so it depends on the skill level of the players, and for example, if I were to play Aurelia at this point, having not played her since late Season 2, I would probably fail horribly, whereas, I don't know, you could have someone like Wicked go onto Aurelia and destroy everyone because it's Wicked.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't, I mean, comparing yourself to Wicked is maybe a bit of a stretch, but I do get the message. You're correct. Aurelia, just like Riven actually, if you can play her, she can be very, very potent. If you have no idea how, then, well, there are champions that are easy to pick up and hard to master, and there are champions that are hard to pick up and even harder to master. So, gonna see how that Aurelia will do. We do see DieCoolenTypen locking in the Nami and Caitlyn. That is probably going to sort out their bottom lane here, as we do see a Teemo being hovered over, but I would be very surprised, but also very happy if that got locked in.
I do recall one of my fellow casters doing a series called, what was it? Tempius Most Wanted Junglers.
Oh yeah.
And there was one of
Teemo.
those was, yes, Teemo the Deadly. Played by one of her close friends, and a bloke that surprisingly I know as well, but that was you.
Well, it's
We
not
do
going to be the
see...
Teemo. Such a surprise.
Yes.
Elise and Brand.
We do
instead
see
left
the
in.
Elise and the Brand. Yes, Elise we saw in the last game did not amazingly well due to the fact that there was some very good early play from the Lee Sin, which was also in the last game.
Yeah, that it was actually she gave first blood in the first game, at least. But of course, this is not the last game. This is a whole new affair, and maybe this time Elise will pick up first blood. Who knows?
Indeed, we shall find out. We see Jax locked in, one of those champions that has always been said as one of those really strong champions against Aurelia, but I'm going to quote Wicked at this point. Nobody counters Aurelia if you can play her. I should have ended the quote at nobody counters Aurelia. If you can play her right, then you can beat anyone. You've just got to be really, really good at her.
Well, Aurelia is not that much of a common pick, so if she's picked up, there has to be some reason behind it. So, as you said, Jax locked in. Tristana also locked in here, so that is quite interesting. Are we going to see a mid-lane Tristana here?
We are. Almost undoubtedly, we are going to see a mid-lane Tristana in this game, which is very interesting to see. It's quite nasty, but I'm not necessarily convinced. The damage is high, and the potential for heal denial on, say, Aurelia when she's trying to heal herself back up with Heat and Style, or if Jinx is trying to heal back through lifesteal, that can be countered by Explosive Shot. But I would not necessarily say that it's a meta pick. I'm not going to say it's a bad pick, because I've been proven wrong many a time before, and don't want that to happen again.
Yes. So those are the picks for DieCoolenTypen. We do seem to have a Caitlyn and a Nami in the bottom lane. Jax looks like it's going to be top. Lee Sin in the jungle. Of course, could also be Jax in the jungle and Lee Sin top, but we're going to leave that up to the game to see what's actually happening. And apparently a Tristana in the middle lane. Ghostwax Stallions. They do have Elise in the jungle, Aurelia top, Jinx and Leona in the bottom lane, and Brand in mid. What do you think of those matchups? Who's going to be stronger in the early game, and what will they have to do to shine?
Theoretically speaking, FNG's sidekick on the Jax should have an advantage over Best Eve Mid West on the Aurelia, due to the simple fact that Aurelia is so based around auto attacks. A good half of her damage, I would say, in a standard trade is going to be coming out of the true damage component of her Heat End style. If Jax activates Counter-Strike, then that true damage component is not landing, therefore it's very, very easy for Jax to win a trade.
Well, the top lane matchups is surely going to be interesting during the game. But looking at the bottom lanes here, Jinx and Leona can be considered a very aggressive lane, very bursty too. We do know that Zap deals a lot of damage. It has been nerfed in a recent patch, so it's not as strong as it used to be, but still very strong poking potential, and the slow that comes with it. What do you think?
Yes, indeed, it's a very aggressive lane, and it needs to stay aggressive as well, because if it starts to go badly, then it may be very difficult for Leona to protect Jinx. If, say, Supernovas comes in on that Lee Sin and gets straight on to Jinx, it's going to be quite hard to deny and engage coming out from DieCoolenTypen. Especially since they have the follow-up of the Aqua Prism bubble from Nami. Yordle Snaptrap, if placed correctly, would be able to lock someone in place as well. 90 caliber net also allows for very, very good positioning for Markson, and it basically relies for Ghostwag Stallion for that bottom lane to keep rolling in an aggressive fashion. Otherwise, it's very easy to try and jump straight onto Jinx, and there's not necessarily a massive amount Leona can do about it, as she only has one aggressive actual stun. She has a root through the Zenith Blade, but that doesn't actually stop people making actions. So if they landed it on Markson and he's still attacking I'm Not Katarina running away, he's still going to be attacking until Zenith Blade lands, and then the Shield of Daybreak is used afterwards. That's still a good 2 auto attacks that could come out if attack speed is high enough.
Well, there is still the solar flare that does stun if it's landed correctly, so being rooted in place, then Shield of Daybreak, and then solar flare should end up in an additional stun on top of the root and the Shield of Daybreak stun. So, there are only 20 seconds roundabout left on the delayed timer. It is the EGL Summoners Cup number 12 between the teams DieCoolenTypen and Go Swag Stallions. So, let's take a look at the teams and talk about level 1. As usual, we do see quite a bit of CC coming out of both teams, but who should go for it and who shouldn't?
Level 1 potential is very good on both sides. For Ghostbag Stallions, the fact that they have Leona instantly says that level 1 could be very good with that Zenith Blade. But she needs a follow-up to that. Whether that's Elise mitigating a bit of her early jungle speed to go for a Repel and the Cocoon. Cocoon lands after the Zenith Blade, that's going to be a lot of damage going down. Bestie Mid EU West on the Aurelia could start Equilibrium Strike as well, but if in an invade situation, that's never going to land a stun unless he's the one who's getting caught out.
Well, both teams with very strong level 1 potential. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the loading screen. The loading indicators are rushing up to the top in a race of who gets to get into the game at the exact same time as everyone else. And we do see a bit of slow loading here, but that just gives us more time to talk about the jungle here. We have seen Lee Sin in the jungle in the last game, and obviously he was quite potent. It is actually the exact same jungle matchup as we saw in the last game. It's Lee Sin versus Elise. Last game saw Lee Sin rise to the top, while Elise had a little bit of a tough time early on. But that was due to the first blood. Now, what would happen if both teams were on equal terms?
Yeah, very true. As you said, the Lee Sin in the last game got first blood and a double kill from that, narrowly surviving with his life. That really allowed him to snowball very hard in the early stages of the game. He was across the map doing a lot of damage and really making his presence felt.
Really making his presence felt. So we'll see if they will be able to pick up another first blood here to give maybe to the Lee Sin or maybe to someone else as well. Does not have to be Lee Sin necessarily. We will definitely see. We do see Swag Stallions grouping up as 5, and that usually indicates a very aggressive early strategy. They're still 5, they are crossing the river as 5, and it does look like they'll be going for some aggressive plays here in the early game as they enter the enemy's red side tri-brush and continue on collision course here with Caitlyn and Nami. They haven't been spotted yet.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
I think there actually was. Looking at the perspective of DieCoolenTypen, there was actually the slightest vision of Gragas with Swaggers, and as you can see, the team of DieCoolenTypen running straight away from that. As we can see, FNG Psychic is currently sat at their blue buff. This is going to be a stolen red.
Yes, it is. They do spot them, and we do see Supernova's making his way onto the enemy red buff, possibly looking for a buff trade here in the early stages of the game. Of course, Lee Sin very versatile, can start with both red and blue buff, so he doesn't sacrifice anything here from his jungle this early in the game as compared to junglers like a Mumu, who does really completely rely on his blue buff, and even if his red buff gets stolen, should still start with his blue.
Yep, very much so. There are multiple junglers like that. You have the Maokais and the Skarners. Not necessarily the meta junglers at the moment. The ones you do see most commonly are people like Lee Sin, Elise, Jarvan the Fourth as well. Another champion that can start at both buffs.
That's true. So both buff steals went through. It's a standard buff trade. And all the players are moving to their lanes. Now, as we have previously discussed, I'm going to keep my eye here onto the bottom lane, as that is going to be interesting. Both the supports have very potent engagement skills. Leona's Solar Flare once she hits level 6, the Tidal Wave out of Nami, and, of course, their level 1 skills. Possibly going to be Zenith Blade or Shield of Daybreak, and the Aqua Prison. Gonna have to watch out here, of course. What? We do see an attempted Aqua Prison here from Nami, but I'm not Katarina not running into there.
Well, she definitely isn't Katarina.
Yes, but what does that have to do with things? I mean, she
I don't
could have
know.
shampooed that, but... Anyway, Hurley My Sin, making his move onto the middle lane here, and will throw out the cocoon and actually land it, and now they engage upon her. This might actually be the first blood they decide to go for the dive, but they do not, even though the Spiderlings were tanking. In the meanwhile, in the top lane, first blood actually went down, and again, it's to a Lee Sin with FNG sidekick on that Jax, picking up the assist for it.
Yep, Supernova's taken incredibly low, with about 300 health, but as we've said time and time again, the only difference in this game in health is that between 1 and 0.
These nipples stepping into a Yordle Snaptrap, immediately Aqua Prisoned up, but there's no real follow-up. So it stays a little bit of damage. Here comes the Zenith Blade into Shield of Daybreak, the exhausted immediately thrown out onto him. Not Katarina switching to Fishbones, trying to deal some damage. There's the zap, one flash, and another auto attack with Fishbones, but it's not quite enough to take him down. Nami doing his best to keep them away from his AD carry, and they do manage to survive this one, although Caitlyn will now have to back away.
Yes, indeed. Markson, escaping with next to no health, is going to grab a second Doran's Blade from that back, along with some health potions to make sure that he is able to stay in lane should that happen again.
Hopefully it will not happen again. It would be a very bad day for the Sheriff of Piltover. Stone coming down onto Mr. Chess4 in the middle lane. We also see Lee Sin hanging around in the area, but not quite deciding to go for it. Or does he? He's now sitting in the river brush, but starts up the recall, possibly ready to cancel it once an opportunity arises, but it does not look like he's going to go for it.
Nope, he is just going to back out and grab a second Doran's Blade. Doran's Blade seems to be the item of the game right now. We see 6 in total, 2 on Jinx, 2 on Caitlyn, and 2 on Lee Sin. Lee Sin also picks up the Boots of Speed to get himself around a little bit faster, a ward, and some health potions.
I'm not sure he's going to help out in lane. He has picked up that first blood assist. That's going to be 150 gold. As another gank on the middle lane comes out as Lee My Sin uses the repel, but a quick rocket jump from Mr. Chess gets him out of there.
Yep. Early game, no real gold lead coming out. It's very minor. The CS is fairly even on most counts.
That is true. No real advantages here, of course, apart from that first blood, which is going to be that 600 gold. It's going to be 400 for the first blood, and of course 200 for the assist gold, not 150. Made a mistake there. Sonic Wave lands onto Brandon. He is immediately going in, but here's My Sin, lands the cocoon, and now Supernova's maybe in trouble. He still decides to go for Brand here, but he'll deal some damage. There's a repel from Elise onto Tristana, though, forces the flash out, and he might be going down here. That's a no! Look at that last-minute rocket jump! And in the meanwhile, oh look, the DOT was actually enough to take him down. So, what could have been a very great escape turns out to be a death after all. Too bad.
It wasn't the dot at all, actually. That was a crucial misplay by Mr. Chess4.
Oh, it was the dragon.
He actually jumped onto the dragon.
Oh, yes, that is true. It was the dragon. He did aggro the dragon. Well, my mistake.
A very fatal mistake as well.
That's true.
That mistake proving fatal as the kills are now returned to 1-on-1, status quo initiated.
Oh, look at that Zenith Blade landing onto Martin. There comes the zap immediately. She throws out the Flame Chomper's Thunder in place. That's probably going to be a kill here. Yep. Jinx picks him up. Now turning the aggression onto Nami, but not going to be more than a little bit of poke. And now, after 2 kills picked up by Ghostwax Stallions, they are bang even in gold once more.
This is what I was saying about that very, very aggressive bottom lane that Ghostwax Stallions needed to do well in this game. The fact that the early crowd control from Greasy Nipples is really, really good, and that combined with the Flame Chompers, the Zaps, and the increased range from switching between Pow Pow and Fishbones, it very much means that an aggressive lane is very, very potent. Aquaprison lands, but nothing's really going to come of it.
That is true, and may I just say how silly that sounds? Pow pow and fishbones. We're trying to be we're trying our best to be professional here, but with terms like that, I don't know. Supernovas and usually my sin meeting in the red side jungle, but a quick ward hop over the dragon wall gets Supernovas out of that situation. Nicely played.
Yep, returning to the status quo once again, as the buffs are spawning. Your Levi Sin is going to pick up the red buff that was stolen away from him in the early stage of the game. Supernovas is working on his blue buff. We don't yet know if that's going to go to Mr. Chess. It does look like he is.
Yeah, it does.
As Tristana starts wandering away up towards that blue buff camp.
The MIA or SS ping comes out from Brand. They are keeping tabs on that. Tristana is obviously very mobile with that rocket jump. Can get from lane to lane pretty quickly and maybe make something happen in terms of a gank or two. But other than that, at 9 minutes, almost 9 minutes into the game, things have been rather quiet with 3 kills happening overall. Gold is still even, and both of these teams not handing each other anything for free.
Both members of Ghostwag Stallions bot lane are now level 6, but is still only level 5, and engagement now could be very, very painful.
You see Greasy Nipples going in there, landing the Zenith Blade onto Nami. There comes the shielded Vapebreak. The tidal wave immediately comes out too, but there's the solar flare. But look at that, Tristana coming in from the bottom, jumping straight into Greasy Nipples. He is going down, and now Jinx may be in a little bit of trouble here, as he does catch out. Oh, that was interesting. So the Fishbones rocket was fired and actually followed Tristana with her rocket jump, but in the end she did get out. That confused me. It was a very volatile and flexible rocket, it seems.
Yep, very good movement from Mr. Chess for roaming down to that bottom lane just as the engagement was going down, picks up the kill and prevents any kills going against his bottom lane.
Nice turnaround, surely. And we just see Lee Sin holding the middle lane until Tristana is back, and now might actually go aggressive here onto Brand, but he's taking a lot of damage. The Ignite is down. Meanwhile, Mr. Chess tries his best to avenge the death of his jungler. Will he be able to follow up to that? No, he will not. So Brand picks up the kill with the Ignite and actually gets out, and now Mr. Chess may be in trouble as Julie My Sin has arrived on the middle lane, but just takes a tower hit and has to back away as there's no follow-up there.
Apologies if you can hear a dog in the background. Apparently, I don't know what's going on.
Where?
I can just hear a dog in the background. I don't know if that's actually coming across
well, Markson actually gets caught here by the Zenith Blade, steps into the Flame Chompers. That's going to be another kill over to that Jinx, and I don't hear any dogs, so I think it should be fine. Considering that the stream hears what I hear. So it's all great. So another kill going down on the bottom lane after a beautiful Zenith Blade. And the Flame Chompers immediately came out. That's some really good synergy right there. As soon as the Zenith Blade lands, Flame Chompers are placed in Caitlyn's escape path. So she has to run through them. And that's obviously going to be a snare and an easy kill for Jinx, who is now 2-0-0 after 11 minutes and 20 seconds in the game. Gold is still bang even. Not anymore, though, as the bottom outer turret goes down. For DieCoolenTypen, bringing Ghostwag Stallions into the lead with 1 turret to 0 and a gold lead of 1,000.
Sound appears to have messed up a little bit there. Never mind.
Everything alright? Well, things are pretty quiet on the Rift right now, so there's not really much to talk about other than itemization. We do see in the top lane the Jax, played by FNG Sidekick, starting to build his probably Trinity Force as he buys his Sheen. That's early on in the game. The 200 gold from the first blood, plus the 10 CS lead over that Aurelia will surely help out there. And he, pretty much every time he went to the top lane, Aurelia was pushed to her turret. So Jack's really good at putting down the pressure there in that lane.
Very, very true. As we can see, the farm lead is in the favour of DieCoolenTypen in the top lane, but elsewhere across the map, both of the laners for Stallions have an advantage. Swaggus with Swaggus, the brand currently has a 10 CS lead over Mr. Chess 4, and due to the fact that Markson has already died twice, I'm Not Katarina has a 20 CS lead over him.
Yeah, that's true. Plus they lost their turrets, or they're a little bit exposed that far out. As there is a ward in the Tri-Brush, but no wards in their jungle, really. There's just one in the jungle entrance, but not the correct one in here. We may see Tristana, Lee Sin, Jinx, and Leona meet, as they do dance around a little bit, but nobody really wants to go in there. Does the Sonic Wave land? But no Resonating Strike follows, as wards are placed all over. They want to keep track. Another Sonic Wave, completely blind. Lands, but again he's not going in, as that's over a wall. It would be pretty hard for the rest of his team to follow up right there.
Yep, we do see SD mid EU West using those Transcendent Blades, Aurelia's ultimate, to clear the minion wave out. Doesn't seem to want to get that far away from his tower at this stage.
No, it does look like it. As Not Katarina is hanging around the middle lane after having taken down their bot turret. Let's see how that works out now that they're free to roam. They are doing it. Equilibrium strike in the top lane landing onto Jax, but there's really nothing happening up there. Apart from jungler intervention, top lane has been Switzerland so far. That first blood we did see come down, but after that, nobody really had a distinct advantage up there. They do, every once in a while, jump on top of each other, trade some damage, but no jungler presence, nor any aggressive plays up in that top lane.
Very good to hear. The gold lead currently in advantage of Stallions due to the fact that they have that tower and the 2-kill advantage. It's only 1,500 gold thereabouts, however. We see that at the moment star player is probably I'm Not Katarina, 2-0 with 106 CS, doing very well on the gold. Already has a 1,000 gold advantage over Markson's Caitlyn.
Sonic Wave lands onto Brand right there. There's the ward jump into Dragon's Rage, and Brand explodes. Nice pickup right there. Second kill for Mr. Chess 4 is in the top lane. Really, yeah, going quite low in another quarrel with Jax, but oh well.
Apparently there was a rocket in Brand's pocket. I'm Not Katarina and Reese Nipples have appeared in that middle lane. The ward as placed by Supernovas gets cleared out. Obviously a little bit too close to the tower.
I don't quite know. It looked more like a rocket in Brand's face. But here's the flash into Zenith Blade out of Leona. As Mr. Chess gets caught, but Rockets jumps away quickly, and we do see a disconnect coming out of Caitlyn here, apparently, but no pause following that. Interesting. Oh, there it is. There it is. I would have been very surprised. Oh, actually, Mr. Chess 4 also leaving, so that's 2 members of DieCoolenTypen losing connection here in this game.
16 minutes into the game, we do see Mr. Chess reconnecting. Gold lead only around 1,000 at this stage. The kill picked back up, and Markson reconnects as well.
So hopefully
the
we'll
gold lead
going underway very soon. Sorry, continue.
I was just going to say that in that last back, Aurelia picked up Blade of the Ruin King, which I can definitely say be a advantageous item to have. A form of maximum health damage is always nice, and especially one that grants attack speed for a champion like Aurelia. As we actually see Stallions taking on the dragon at this stage. Supernovas is present and aware.
A ward there, so they know what's going on. There's the Sonic Wave. He goes in, tries to smite it away, but does not beat Yurli Myson's smite. What they do beat is his life, though, as Tristana picks him up. And Brand picks up the kill on Tristana in return, probably with his passive. Did he use the Ignite? No, so it was his passive.
Yep. As Mr. Chess 4 jumped back over the wall, he carried Pyroclasm with him. It was bouncing between Xerath, Elva, Supernovas, and himself. And then the Blaze passive from Gragas with Swaggers picks up the kill. Kills currently now 4 and 5. Advantage still thereabouts of 2,000 actually, due to the fact that Ghostwag Stallions just picked up the dragon. I'll be back up in just under 6 minutes.
And they are going to pick up the middle outer here as well, so that's the second turret of the game. Both of them went to Ghostwag Stallions, with DieCoolenTypen not really responding here with any turret pickups of their own, as Irelia actually goes in the top lane against the Jax, but takes a lot of damage from that Grandmaster's Might passive.
No, I was just going to say, from the towers that have been already downed, that's granting Ghostwag Stallions a dominant position over any dragons that are going to spawn. Mid, outer, and bottom outer towers are already down for DieCoolenTypen, which means that it's quite difficult for them to run to safety if a fight goes badly for them at the dragon.
That is very true. We do see the first turret of the game picked up here for DieCoolenTypen. And Supernova finds Usually My Sin and Best Eve Mid EUE. It's a little bit of a quarrel. Best Mid EUW in the middle, and they do both jump onto her simultaneously, both Lee Sin and Jax. And Jax is the one who gets the kill.
Once again, Marks on Caitlyn is apparently disconnected, and there is the pause. Gold still sitting around a 2,000 gold advantage, but that's ever so slightly brought back by the tower that was just picked up by FNG's sidekick. Major items going to be coming down in the near future, as I'm Not Katarina has all the components for an Infinity Edge, which is going to absolutely skyrocket her damage due to the fact that she already has 2 kills and 1 assist, along with a 30 CS advantage over Markson's Caitlyn.
That is very true. The pause has been lifted as Markson again has reconnected, so we will get back into the game right away after that top lane engagement that ended in Aurelia's death. Another pickup here for DieCoolenTypen as they manage to keep up with Ghostwag Stallion's pace. They are down a turret. They're also down a dragon. Or no, yes, they are. But still, they managed to keep that gold lead small, or rather, that gold deficit. And this game is still wide open at almost 20 minutes.
FNG sidekick just picking up that Trinity Force. He's also got Ninja Tabby, so that's absolutely gearing himself to fight against an Irelia. Trinity Force allows him to move faster, keep attacking, stay on the aggressive, and Ninja Tabby blocks 10% of the damage from basic attacks. That includes the true damage component that comes down from Heat End style. So FNG sidekick tailoring himself and fighting Best Eve Mid EU West at this point in the game.
Very, very true. Supernova's, meanwhile, warding out the enemy's jungle, walking through a ward himself, though, so not sure if they know that a few wards have been placed right there. Mr. Chess and I'm Not Katarina, a little bit of a quarrel here, trading rockets to the face. As we do see a slight push happening, but nothing more. They do move on to their blue buff. Possibly one of them will pick it up quite soon, as both teams are walking around the dragon area. Of course, the dragon is not there, and both teams are aware of that. And now they're trying to set up a pick in this brush, but there's a Warden there, so they are found out. And immediately, Brand deals some damage, uses the opportunity. If they present themselves so nicely for some damage, why not deal damage? And now they start off the blue buff, but no Supernovas has previously placed that ward. Of course, it got found by the vision ward placed by Greasy Nipples, so there is no steal coming through there.
Yep. As we can see, we do actually have now the Haunting Guise on Usually My Sin, which is going to provide a nice boost to both sustain and damage for their release. Currently sat on 1-1 and 0. Gragas with Swaggers has picked up his Dean's Unholy Grail. I was going to try and make some kind of swag pun there, but I decided that I would not partake in such modern culture nonsense.
But you do like talking about how bad of an idea it is to invade Russia, don't you?
Yes.
Yes, because that's more cultural and intellectual.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Not gonna say anything against that. So, 5 kills to 5 kills at 21 minutes and 20 seconds into the game. Gold lead is still at 1.7 thousand, hasn't grown that much in the past few minutes. Turret is also still at 2 to 1. So, Ghostback Stallions still up a turret over DieCoolenTypen. As they both assemble on the middle lane, we may actually see a fight happen here quite soon. Fishbone is dealing decent damage with that Infinity Edge pickup. Of course, the rockets can also crit, dealing some major damage. We did just see that happen. Mr. Chess, sitting here at half health, is now forced to recall, but 5 members of Ghostback Stallions in the middle lane, ready to push the lane down and maybe make a move. Nope, they do decide to move on towards the dragon area, which will have a newly respawned dragon in it in just about 20 seconds. So they may be preparing to take this one. They're dancing around. Pink ward is placed. DieCoolenTypen, of course, saw where they were going and might know what they're up to, because they do have the dragon timer as well.
Yep, it's going to be a 5v5 fight here. It's going to be very interesting to see what goes down. In terms of items, it's fairly even. We have seen Deathfire Grass be picked up by Mr. Chess before. That is going to make his burst damage absolutely insane at this point in the game. However, the AD carries are very, very differing in the power at the moment. Infinity Edge is currently on I'm Not Katarina. Meanwhile, Markson only has Pickaxe and Vampiric Scepter. He's also stood there. I'm almost tempted to say he has disconnected again.
That might be the case, actually. We do see both teams backing away from Dragon, neither team really happy or ready to commit to this, but as the DieCoolenTypen back away, so do Ghostback Stallions make their move on towards the Dragon, and here we do see the disconnect coming out of Markson, so that's gonna be a connection problem induced Dragon. If the steal does not go through, it does go through! Nicely done! He safeguards a way through the wall. They pick up the Dragon.
Incredibly well played by Supernovas there. The jump timing was exquisite. Manages to win the Smite War and gain an extra wonderful amount of gold for his team, reducing the gold lead to only 600, 23 minutes into the game.
That is very true. Now we do see the pause go through, as Markson does reconnect back into the game. Seems to have a very shaky internet connection right now. Of course, that timing would have been very unfortunate if Lee Sin had not managed to pick up the Dragon, since they were in no position to fight without their AD carry. But now he is back, and the game will resume. As you have said, the gold lead had shrunk to about 600 thanks to that Dragon pickup. Nicely played there by Supernovas. Kills are still bang even, 5 to 5 each. And we do see Ghostback Stallion still 1 turret up, but that turret is what makes out that slight gold difference here. So once DieCoolenTypen pick themselves up a turret, they will be even in gold.
Yep, FNG Sidekick did actually have vision on Best Eve mid as he was heading back towards the
now
top
Katarina
lane.
actually getting caught out here by Mr. Chess. Look at that. He exploded. Rocket jump in. Buster shot. Couple of auto attacks. Rocket jump out. Nicely played.
That is why Tristana, with that Deathfire Grass, is so very, very nasty. She deals so much damage due to that damage amplification of 20%, and that is also 15% of the target's maximum health in magic damage when it is activated.
That is very true. We did see a very bursty player right there. I'm not Katarina. It's not Katarina, but if she were, she would have gotten a taste of her own bursty medicine. Sorry about that. We do see the gold lead actually panning out at 200 right now, so that's basically nothing, especially 25 minutes into the game, so that kill went a long way into restoring balance into this game, just like Aurelia wants.
And like all Ionians want, really.
There we go. So speaking of Aurelia, there's a little bit of a quarrel here with Jack, so now Katarina has also joined him. He is now in full retreat, but the Zap Land slows him down. That's the Super Mega Death Rocket, but the Flash makes it miss. But the Zap still lands, and Aurelia will be able to pick himself. Oh, actually, look at that. He almost managed to get away, but again, a Fishbones rocket followed him to his destination and took him down. And now Supernovas, along with his trusty mid laner and support, show up on the top lane as well, looking to make something happen, but the rest of Ghostmax Stallions also there now, so they do show their presence and are pushing the top lane now, with 5 people possibly looking for the top outer in this 5v3 situation, actually, as we again see Caitlyn standing around doing nothing.
Yes, very serious connection issues.
Oh, the Cocoon lands onto Nami, and there's the Solar Flare immediately, but they do manage to get out with a nice flash, but the Brand Ultimate does pick him up. Nicely played right there, and they will have to sacrifice their top inner turret as well, as there are 5 people bashing away at it, and they are not done yet. And Caitlyn, apparently, yeah, there's the disconnect. Starts running towards the base now. Well, actually, recall in the brush. Not sure. I wasn't aware that that was automated.
It isn't actually. Looking in chat, he disconnected and then reconnected very quickly afterwards. Just wasn't shown in the UI.
And now
he
he disconnected again. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. There's the pause once more. It's really unfortunate. We do see DieCoolenTypen with a lot of potential here in this game, but they did lose 2 turrets right now due to those Caitlyn internet problems. She was not there to help defend the turret. They could have maybe prevented the second one from going down. The first one was a pretty bang and shut 5v4 situation with a lot of damage going down onto the turret in a very short time, so I'm not sure if they would have actually been able to prevent that one from happening, but the inner turret, that's another story.
Yep, just looking at the items going across right now, you can see that FMG Sidekick has a really, really substantial farm lead over Best Even Mid. It's nigh on 50 CS, and that really, really is shown throughout the items as well. Best Even Mid only having a Blade of the Ruin King and Ninja Tabi to her name, while FMG Sidekick has Trinity Force and Buildwater Cutlass, along with one of those daggers, which, with another one, shall build into a Blade of the Ruin King of his very own. In the jungle, we see that Spirit of the Ancient Golem has been picked up along with the Haunting Guise on Your My Sins Elise. Still only sat on those boots of speed on both junglers. Then we have cross on the actual Lee Sin, played by Supernovas, Spirit Visage, a Ruby Sightstone, and 2 Dorn's Blades. A lot of war jumping going to be going on with him. In the middle lane, we see the 3, 1, and 0 coming out from Gragas with Swaggus on Brand, 187 CS to 151, so over 30 CS difference in that middle lane. Athene's on Holy Grail, and Blasting Wand along with a couple of Doran's Rings. He also hasn't finished up his Sorcerer's Shoes yet, as the pause has been lifted, and we get straight back into it.
Yes, thank you for that quick item overview. That's a nice way to use the pause time and fill it with informative content. So hopefully, this pause took a little longer, so hopefully Markson has taken some precautions, maybe a router restart or something to make these problems go away for good this time. We will see over the course of the game, as I do think both of these teams are pretty even in terms of skill. It was just those unfortunate situations where Caitlyn was not there that gave a little bit of a lead back to Ghostmax Stallions to do those 2 turrets in the top lane. Not to take anything away from them, of course they played it beautifully, taking down FNG's Sidekick beforehand and then immediately applying pressure in a 5v4 situation, but still, it was a 5v3 situation actually.
Yep, we see 90 seconds are going to pass before the dragon respawns for the 3rd time in this game. Should be the next hotly contested objective. Very interested to see if Supernovas can pull off one of his amazing dragon steals again. If he does, that'll pull the gold lead back again. If not, then that may begin Yet another start of a snowball for Ghostwag Stallions.
Well, we are going to see the gold lead is about 3,000 at this point in favor of Ghostwag Stallions. That is correct. They are also up a kill and 3 turrets over DieCoolenTypen. But we have seen their ability to pull off plays and make things happen on the map to get that game back into their clutches. So it's still going to be an interesting game. We are reaching the 30-minute mark. There have only been 13 kills overall, so both of these teams choosing their engagement, not blindly jumping into anything. And as I say that, FNG Sidekick jumps onto Aurelia. They trade some damage, and Supernova's getting caught out here. Finally, my sin, and I'm not Katarina. Wards away, and now Jackson's in some major trouble as he jumps away. There's the Solar Flare stunning Supernova as he tries to ward jump away, but is taken down as well. And look at that, Ghostwag Stallions making things happen, catching out 2 people. Nice Solar Flare out of Leona. And now they're in that Baron area. They're moving towards it, and they are going to start it up. There is a ward there for DieCoolenTypen, so they know what's going on, but their jungler is not there, so they're missing a smite. And it will be very, very difficult, if possible at all, to pull up this steal. All they can do is poke around to prevent the worst thing from happening. There's the tidal wave going out just to see if it can do anything, but he instead lets his life. Very risky play. And the Baron does go to Ghostwag Stallions as the gold lead is now at 5,000 and Ghostwag Stallions are all Baroned up.
That was a bad choice for an engagement from FNG Sidekick. He got circled around and got absolutely decimated. Even the leap strike wasn't enough to get him out of that situation as he just moved him closer.
Oh, Supernova. Of trouble here as the Solar Flare beautifully lands on him. Well played. Stretch Bones immediately comes out, crits twice. Look at that health. And FNG Sidekick now in the middle of 5 people out of Ghostwag Stallions. Goes down. Super Mega Death Rocket barely missing its target. But they're now onto the inhibitor turret as Mr. Chessford tries his best to circle around. But Aurelia immediately jumps on him, deals some damage. That's the rest of Ghostwag Stallions. He's going to go down here as Gragas Wiswagas picks him up. The inhibitor is going to be the next target. It is going to go down as well as an Aqua Prison catches Best Eve mid EUW, but it does not prevent the inhibitor from being taken. And if you actually look at the map, I just noticed this huge bunch of wards around the Baron area coming out of DieCoolenTypen. Of course, a bunch of them were placed for Lee Sin ward jumps, but still, they had so much vision. It was so unfortunate that they had to let 2 lives immediately prior to the Ghostwag Stallions Baron attempt. Not sure if they would actually have gone for it if they didn't, but still, they had the entire area under control.
The mentality there was simply the fact of jungler and top laner are down. Their ability to engage upon us while we're in the Baron pit is next to naught. Let's do the Baron, because their damage is nowhere near enough to provide a relevant threat to us. If Mr. Chess jumps in, CC him, nuke him down. There is nothing that the 3 members of DieCoolenTypen could have done to stop that Baron happening after that very disadvantageous fight in the top lane.
You see Ghostwag Stallions again picking up another dragon, propelling their gold lead to almost 9,000 at this point. And they have picked up the bottom inner turret as well, so now the game is at 7 turrets to 1. And DieCoolenTypen having fallen behind a lot. I'm going to see if they can do something, if they can pull something off to get this game back into their direction, at least slightly, so they can buy some time and maybe turn it around in the very late game.
Simple fact is, what they've got to do right now is play defensively. They evidently cannot fight against a Baron up Ghostwag Stallions team. So what they've got to do is just clear out the lanes, keep on farming, get some more items, and actually maybe give up some of the, I would say sarcastic quotes, lesser objectives, because buffs aren't crucial to winning games. Powers are.
That is very true. They do try to take control of their buffs as much as possible, though, as we do see Supernovas going on towards that blue buff, making sure it does not get stolen away. He's actually going to give it over to Mr. Chess here, so he can get some mana regeneration back and hopefully have a large impact in team fights. Of course, cooldown reduction also going a long way to help get more skill rotations off in one fight. And as we have seen, he can be very, very bursty. But I'm not Katarina, sitting on 223 farm at this point, dealing loads of damage with those fishbone auto attacks. We just saw her clear out 3 packs of 3 of both cannon and caster minions with just 1 hit.
Yep. At this point, I would say most fed champion in the whole game right now is Gragas with Swaggis. He's 5-4-1.
And
as
as
he gets
you
jumped,
say
actually.
that, he gets jumped upon. And there comes Greasy Nipples with the Zenith Blade onto Lee Sin, but he quickly jumps away. Mr. Chess actually managed to track down in I'm Not Katarina. This could be huge, but he is now getting dove upon. Meanwhile, Best Eve mid EOW takes down FNG sidekick Lee My Sin, taking down Mr. Chess as Greasy Nipples does his best to lock him down as far as possible. Supernova's now in the middle trying to kick away Brand, but he does go down in the end. A triple kill for Lee My Sin, and Markson is running away. Throws out a pilt over Peacemaker, and now is faced with the daunting task of holding this all by himself. And that's surely going to be an inhibitor turret down, and possibly also an inhibitor. He does throw out the ace in the hole. Whoa, it almost goes through, but only My Sin catches it in the last moment. 3 very, very low people banging away at the inhibitor as the cocoon lands, and he's going down! Or is he? No, the 90 caliber actually manages to get him away. He flashes back into a fountain. Of course, that leaves the inhibitor completely open for the pickup. That's going to be the second inhibitor down here for DieCoolenTypen. And this game is getting worse and worse for them by the second.
Interestingly, the most farm in the game is currently on FNG's sidekick with 249 CS, very nearly, just passing the 250 mark at this stage, then followed by his AD carry. Markson is actually doing a very good job of farming after those early disconnect issues. Currently sat on Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and a Vampiric Scepter.
Very true. Big item advantage here. Of course, it's also due to the 4 kills and 7 assists currently sitting on that Jinx. We do see a CS lead coming out of Caitlyn, but she has only 1 assist to show for herself in terms of gold earned by champion kills or participation in champion kills. So if you actually look at the numbers, we see a huge 3,000 gold lead between the AD carries alone.
Yep, next 2 minutes are going to be all about objectives. 40 seconds until Baron Nashor respawns, 1 minute 45 until the Dragon respawns. So, if Ghostwag Stallions can get another Baron, they could very easily close out this game.
That is very true. You see that DieCoolenTypen is still down an inhibitor. Their middle lane inhibitor has respawned, but Ghostwag Stallions immediately making the move, trying to take this down. There's a couple of super minions aiding them, and that inhibitor is going down very quickly. And DieCoolenTypen decide not to engage. And now Ghostwag Stallions immediately making their way on towards that Baron, which will respawn in just over 5 seconds. Or are they going to push down the top lane first? They are going to push down the top lane first. They're going for the 3rd inhibitor turret of the game, which is the last turret still standing here for DieCoolenTypen outside of their Nexus turrets. And they have the opportunity, if they notice this isn't really working out, our siege isn't working, they can just rotate away on towards that Baron, take that, and then make another attempt through the mid lane. Here comes Mr. Chess, jumps in. Deathfire Grasp is used onto I'm Not Katarina, but he manages to survive. And that's exactly what I was talking about. They notice it didn't quite work out, and now they make their move on towards Baron. Gonna take that, and come back, and get a go at another attempt.
Yep, items very much in favour of Ghostwag Stallions at this moment. Since the last time we checked, Randuin's Omen has been picked up by Best Eve mid. We also see a finished Leandri's Torment on Lee My Sin, along with 2 of the 3 components for our allies, Crystal Scepter, Rowden's Death Cap and Void Staff, along with the Seeker's Arm Guide, are now on Gragas with Swaggis. And at the AD carry role, we see Phantom Dancer and a BF Sword, likely to go towards, I would say, a Bloodthirster.
Likely, we'll see if it comes to that. As Supernova boldly jumps in a last-second attempt, tries to safeguard away, but is taken down. Zenith Blade, meanwhile, landing onto Mr. Chess. It's a double kill for Jinx so far. There's the Solar Flare landing 3. stunning 3 actually. It's a triple kill for Jinx. This might actually be very, very interesting as an Aqua Prison lands, but Jinx still right there. There's another Fishbones rocket landing onto FNG sidekick. Not enough to take him down, so it's not going to be a pentakill here, but a triple kill is not that bad as well. And here we go, 3 people down for DieCoolenTypen. We do see Jax diving in with a last attempt to save this, but he goes down immediately. And here comes Nami. They're going to pick that one up too. Look at that. I'm not Katarina on the brink of fountain diving as they do take down the Nexus. It's a win for Go Swag Stallions after 38 minutes and 50 seconds with a kill lead of 20-7, a turret lead of 11-1, and a gold lead of 61,000 to 45.1 thousand. Very decisive victory after a very, very close early to mid-game stage.
Yeah, approximately 15,000 gold lead in total. We're going to move out of the game now and take a look at some of the graphs. I'd very much like to see how the damage has distributed throughout the game.
That's very true. We're going to bring the graphs up in just a second. There they are. Here we got the graphs going. Take us through them.
Right, looking on the damage dealt, you do see that there are 2 massive spikes with I'm Not Katarina and Gragas with Swaggers. Most damage dealt above 21,000. The only 2 champions that did more than 21,000 damage in that game, or 20,000 at all. The closest thing to that is actually followed up by Mr. Chess on the Tristana. Did a fair amount of damage, but when Gragas with Swaggers got those items, got the Rabadon's Death Cap, got the Athene's Unholy Grail, got the Void Staff, got the component for Azonia's Hourglass as well. He's dealing so much damage, and the fact that those team fights were very clustered together meant that Gragas with Swaggers was doing so much damage with his Pillars of Flame. Conflagrate would be spreading to multiple targets at once, and his Pyroclasm had so many choices of who to bounce to. I think it might have been a little sport for choice.
That is very true. We do see Jinx stealing the most damage out of them all here in this game. Very, very nicely played. Got ahead early with those kills in the bottom lane and managed to snowball it into a nice victory right here. Directly after him is Brand. Also, as you have said, a very potent force in this game. Overall, it was very nicely played out of both teams. The disconnects were surely unfortunate here for DieCoolenTypen. But yeah, there's really nothing we can do about it.
Unfortunately not, as Go Swag Stallions will advance to the next round, which will be the round of 32 in this EGL Summoners Cup number 12.
That is very true. And as for us too, I believe that does it for us for tonight. We will be back tomorrow to bring to you the round of 8 and the quarterfinals, I believe, of
Yes,
this
indeed.
EGL Summoners Cup number 12. We are going to switch streamers in just a moment. Casting for you just after this will be Sona and Grey Goose, I believe. So be sure to watch them as well. We thank you for watching, and we'll put on some videos and music until the switch happens. Happy LOL. There's more League of Legends to come, so don't go anywhere.